welcome to Coach Dave Academy. This is Suellio Almeida. We're going to see my lap with the Porsche Cup at the Nordschleife, the Green Hell. We're going to see the entire lap, and then we're going to talk about corner by corner. All right, so going into T1 here, into the GP part, we want to brake very, very carefully, especially if you have a full tank, because the braking is downhill here, and we definitely don't want to lock up the tires, because this really gets you into a snowball effect where you just destroy your tires more and more. Simply put, the more you lock, the more you're gonna lock in the future because of the less grip that you're gonna have by overheating and degrading the tires. So let's go brake generally at the 150, actually way before that if you're using a full tank for the endurance setting, for example. But if you're doing only the 3 laps, then we can brake a little bit closer to the 150 here on the left. We're gonna brake and patiently wait, turn in on second gear here, like aiming to get to this bollard. As you can see, I'm really trying to cut the bollard here. There's no collision with the bollard. You can pretty much be super close to it. If you look on the outside, we're actually not hitting it, but on the inside, it looks like we're gonna hit it. And then on the change of direction here, downshift to first, right here, just for this moment here, so you can get a little bit more rotation. By the time you hit this curve and you're about to accelerate, already back to second to have a more controllable exit here. On the exit, you want to use everything but this green here. So this lighter green you can actually use. You see this little drain here? This is actually where the off-track sensor is. So we can put some of the car on the drain. I actually could have used a little bit more there. If you put half of the car on the drain, you get an off track. Also, it's a little bit off camber. You can definitely see how the car is falling a little bit to the right, so there's a lot less grip than you expect, and that's why you lose the rear, just like I did here. So we lost a little bit of rear, a little bit of counter steer there, but overall it was still a pretty good one. And then here, have the car totally to the white line, use this curb here a little bit on the inside. Actually, you just want to like kind of visit the white line and then really get back on power as if there's nothing on the next corner. You don't want to prepare the next right-hander. You want to gain time here on this one. And then here you're already braking. You have the time to bring the car a little bit more towards the middle of the track, but not all the way in the middle. And then already turn into this one here. And then when you get back on power, kind of like smash, not super smash, but go like straight to like 80% to keep the car rotating, and then allow the car to go all the way. You can use a little bit of the dirt, but just a little bit like that. If you use a little bit more than that, you actually get an off track, so be careful with that. Then for this next corner, very aggressive double apex. So start braking and allow the car to get a first apex super early. Then it's going to be pushed by itself wide. Then get back on power when the car is about to point back, and then get the second apex quite late and allow the car to go all the way to the outside. For this one, use totally the curb on the left, on the right, but do not use this curb that much here on the left. As you can see, I mean, just staying on the white because it makes the car a little bit more stable. And then you totally use this second one here. I mean, the third one. Of course, this one, if you get the dirt more than that, that's a slow down. So be careful. You lose a lot of time. The slow down here is really harsh if you cut this. So half of the inside tire on the dirt is the limit. A little bit more than that gives you a slowdown. So make sure you're not overusing this dirt here. Then we go to the next corner. I want to actually use a little bit of this green here to open up the corner as much as I can. You only get an off track if the center of the car is to the right of the white line here. And then we really want to use this curve. I actually missed it a little bit, but even if you miss it, there's a good camber here that will pull the car well, kind of like aggressive on power. And then do not go all the way to the outside here, because you really need to bring the car as early as possible to the left, because the next corner leads into a long straight. So you need to set up a good exit on this one. So that's why I'm not going all the way to the right here. I want to bring the car back here so we can use the white line and then get the best exit you can on this one. Also, same thing, you can touch the dirt on this exit here a little bit. Just make sure by the time you get there, you come back very slowly. You don't want to like panic and turn the car all the way to the inside, because if you do that, you're going to lose the rear very quickly. So this is towards the end of the GP. We have the WEC chicane, so WEC. We want to brake at the 75 here, so right in between the two, the 100 and the 50. And then we want to get a little bit of the green here. As you can see, the green at the end of the curve is a good reference. If you put like the center of the car on any of this green here, you will get an off track. When you change direction, also use the green here This one is pretty much at the limit. Same thing. If the center of the car is touching the green, you get an off track. So very important to not get that, especially if you're in a qualifying session. Then for this one here, you don't want to open up too much. Center of the track is pretty good. And then you brake. At this point here, going up, there's so much grip. And then lots of grip. But at this point, when you get back on power, now the track starts falling. So you're going to have half of the grip that you had before. And then here, the car is super light because we're changing layout and falling off camber. So the car is going to be very loose. You want to be very close to this wall here. And then you go a little bit to the left, but then back to the right to open up the next corner here. As you can see, center of the car between the two white lines here into this very, very grippy left-hander. The car understeers a little bit too much here. So make sure you're very patient. And then smash the power on exit to let the car go wide here. Then we go to the next corner here. Make sure you open up early. As you can see, we have this white, this 2 kilometer sign here. You want to go early there. That's your turn-in point. Actually, a little bit earlier than that one car. Before that, you want to already be on the outside, turning to this half lift corner. You lift a little bit and then smash the power again to use this curb here. Then we go to the S's here. Start braking on the right. Then you're going to trail brake to here. But then as soon as you get here, you start braking hard again. And then trail brake again. So it's brake, trail brake, brake, trail brake. And then when you're here, smash on power. You don't want just to hug this inside too much. Really want to gain time on this one. Then you bring a little bit to the middle of the track. And then same thing, a little lift just to make the car more to the left here. And then brake, trail brake, use this curb. This curb is going to kind of pull the car a little bit. If you use too much, it's going to bounce. But if you're practicing it like enough, you will predict the bounce. And right after the bounce here, you see how when we get back on the curb, we bounce once. Now we're on air. And then when it hits again the ground, then you can really flick it to the left. So, boom, boom. You can really feel the bouncing happening as you change direction. So you have to be aware of the bouncing, because if you're not, the car will behave a little bit different. It can even lose the rear if you're not aware of that. Then get back on power, use a little bit of this curb on the exit, and then bring the car as early as possible to the outside here, and then light braking, try to use this curb here. And as soon as you see when the car hits the curb first, it kind of bounces a little bit, but then when it settles, smash the power, not smash the power, but use the rotation to use the power to rotate the car here and really make it easier for you to change direction on this last one here and keep kind of flat out. Not kind of, you're really gonna stay flat out after that one. So back on power, flat out now. Just allow the car to go all the way to the outside. And then easy, flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. This one here, we have a little jump. So right after the little jump here, just make sure you have very light hands, because if you have the hands are a little bit tight, by the time you land from the jump, the car might shoot to the right or to the left. So relaxed hands on top of the jump, so to make sure that your car is completely straight. As soon as you land, a little bit of braking, turn in, and as soon as you get on this compression here with this little heart here, you smash the power again, and then you want to also be super close to this second curb. So as you can see, jump, light brake, first curb, power, and then the car keeps going to the right. Then you're still on the second curb here, using the second curb, and then finally this exit is going to be good enough. Then all flat out here, flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. For this one, tiny trail brake when you see that the track is going up. This is where you should get most of the rotation, because after that, at this point now, the track is falling, so you're really like losing that grip, and then you land again on a good compression, so that keeps the car turning. And you have to be on the left as early as possible, because you're gonna brake way before this change of color here. This little change of color is my braking reference. I want to brake way before that. As you can see, I'm reaching my peak pressure before I get there. So I'm starting to brake here, and I'm reaching my peak pressure here. So reaching my peak pressure maybe, what, two cars before that change of direction. I'm really patient on the turn in, car tends to lock up the front very easily here. So you really like trail brake, but lightly, and then smash the power to keep the car rotating. And then all the way to the outside. Here, you will not get enough track unless you put the center of the car on the grass. Then this is all easy flat out, all easy flat out, all easy flat out, all easy flat out until we go up here. At this point, we have this sign. So on this one here, you want to brake quite before the sign, but the sign is a good reference. You start braking and then you want to turn in quite early so you can cut as much as you can all this curb here. Just make sure you don't hit the grass. And then from here, we can see as soon as I see that I'm getting there and I hit the curb, I smash the power a little bit to lift the fronts and diminish the impact against the curb. And then from here, we brake again and then change direction. And then we have a little bit of time to accelerate again. And then finally we brake here on the inside because the car itself will be shot off wide to the center of the track. And then you can really get a super late apex on this one. Get back on power, stay to the left. You see how I'm pretty much on top of this little heart here. Again, as a good reference, you don't want to be on the middle of the track here because then you're going to compromise the exit. This exit is very important here. So that's why you have to really late apex this one. As you can see, I'm braking from the left, going wide, then back, apex, and then finally super late apex on this one so we can carry a lot of speed on this exit. And then flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. And then for this one, just half 50% brakes, then trail braking, and then smash the power to keep the car rotating a little bit. Let it go all the way to the white line. And as soon as you get on the white line, you start braking hard again for the next one. As you can see, as close as possible to the grass, but be careful because if you just slightly touch the grass here, you're dead. And then third gear, back on power kind of aggressively here. A little change of direction. The car is going to kind of bounce a little bit, so you allow it to go wide there. And then on this one, on the sign, start braking, super late apex, downhill with lots of compression. So there's a lot of grip here. So you smash the power quite aggressively and let the car run all the way to the curb. Then bring the car as early as possible to the right here for this flat out. This is flat out, but you might need to lift a little bit if you miss a turn in like I just did. So on this one here, I'm using a full tank, so I'm with a very heavy car. I turn in and I realize that I'm not going to touch this white line here. You definitely do not want to use this curb, but you want to be on the white line. So you can see the curb is insanely high, steep. So because I missed it a little bit, you can see I missed by what, a third of a car width. Because of that, I had to do this tiny lift here. And then make sure, you see, this is how much I want to be close on this one here. And you can see how I missed it. Then you go wide a little bit. This is the miss, hit, miss. So what we want to do is miss this one a little bit. Then hit this apex, which I actually also missed a little bit. But I was really fast and really on the limit trying to get the car to rotate as much as I could. And then back on power aggressively. This one is we definitely miss because we want to already go wide here. And then we go to one of the most complicated braking zones of the entire track, because you're braking, then you trail brake, and then here you brake again, and then you trail brake very, very, very heavily to make the car hit the curb here. Not the curb, the white line again. And then smash the power, change direction a little bit earlier, and light hands to allow the car to go wide here. As you can see how the car is super light here on power. It really wants to lose the rear, so I'll allow it to go wide. Then for the next corner here, don't think about carrying too much speed to this corner because it's very easy to understeer. So brake early and make sure you get back on power as early as possible here to keep the car rotating. Make sure you don't use this curb because it will unsettle the car. So the white line is the limit here. Then you will have enough time to bring the car back to the left. And again, same thing, white line, but not the curb because the curb is super high. And you carry as much speed as you can to this exit here. This exit is the most important exit because you're going uphill in a very, very long straight. So this exit here might make you gain half a second or lose a second. So get back on power early, allow the car to go outside. You can see that there's a little jump here, a big compression that keeps that becomes kind of a little crest. So the car bounces a little bit. You have to have very relaxed hand to let the car settle with that. On that curb here, you can kind of use it a little bit, but super relaxed hands. If you hit this curb and you're trying to go away from it, then you might spin very quickly. Then we go flat out, flat out, flat out, flat out. Little Kink here also flat out. My braking reference here, I don't really have one. What you can have, you can use this sign here. And also you can use a little change. Let me see if I can find it here. So there is a little kink on the white line here, as you can see. So I'm looking at that as a braking reference. As you can see, I'm not braking there, but I'm looking at that place for a reference. And I start braking. Super late turn in because this is a closing radius. Then smash the power to get the best exit you can here, allowing the car to go all the way to the outside. And then flat out, 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 flat out until here. So when you see this here, this little concrete curb, you really want to use it. So be as close as possible to the wall. You can even touch this little grass here on the way in to make the car rotate a tiny bit more. And then you're aiming for the end of this curb. If you use this, you turn in, you use a little bit of the curb and you hit this curb, the end of this curb here on the left, then your line is going to be perfect. You can get back on power and the exit is going to be just perfect. Then for this next one here, on lower fuel is definitely flat. As you can see here, I did it flat on high fuel. It's a little bit more tricky. You have to turn in quite early and really aim to touch as much as you can the white line here. I missed it by half a tire. And then the exit here, light hands, be careful. It's very easy to get this grass here. For the next corner, you can see how the braking zone actually turns to the left. And I want to bypass that. I don't want to fall on the trap of turning while braking. So I'm bringing my car to the middle of the track. And then I'm braking on a straight line. And I keep on a straight line. I'm not opening up here. Why? Because this is a very long corner here. And we can double apex it. So this is my first apex kind of. And then I go wide and back on the inside. But we don't really go back to the inside because the exit opens up. So it's kind of a super early apex. Then you can think it like that. So on the first one here, then back on power and allow the car to go wide, 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 wide until you hit this curb on this place. Then for the carousel, just make sure you don't overshoot the entry. It's all about staying on the inside. If you go off, you lose a full second. There's nothing you can do. So brake quite hard. And then as soon as you hit here, try to have this left of the car on the tarmac and the right of the car on the concrete. If you do that, then you're gonna, on the beginning, it's gonna give you some good grip. Then you're kind of going wide a little bit and having the entire car on the concrete, but then you get back on power again and try to almost get back. But at this point, the throttle is rotating the car on the exit and really making it almost over shear, but you won't over shear because there's so much mechanical grip here that you kind of jump off at the very end of it. And then boom, you're just jumping off straight. So it's a very complicated one. Patient, patient, patient. And then right before the exit, kind of try to smash the power. Give some hits on the throttle to keep the car rotating. Keep the car rotating. It's very easy to understeer off throttle on this car. And then you can really calculate the exit to have the most speed you can. You have to launch the car out of the carousel. For this one here, easy flat out. Don't think about anything. Just let the car be very close to the screen. And for this one, half braking and then loss of trail braking here. Back on power. Stay. You have to touch this white line. Do not touch this curb. If you touch this curb, you're done. And then you change direction. As you can see, I'm trying to change the direction with the car being more to the left than to the right. So here, change direction, touch the white line again, and then light hands, allow the car to go all the way and use all of this curb. As soon as you're stable on the curb, start braking, and then turn in quite early, and then smash the power. And same thing, just make sure you can use this curb because you're not turning that aggressively by the exit, but make sure you're not using it with panic, trying to run away from it. Then for the next corner here, little lift because I want to be as much as I can to the right here for the next double left. And then I start braking. I go to the inside here. I don't use this curb at this point, but I want to use it here. And then I change direction to totally use this curb here. Look at how much I'm using this one. Because at this curb, if you carry it, it's almost flat out. Like I get back on power. And then as soon as I'm here, already flat out and go all the way to the outside, Same thing. This curb is high, so you're going to hit it, but you want to hit it with relaxed hands. If you hit it and you're panicking and trying to go away from it, the car might get upset by the time you hit it and you lose the rear. Then here, very hard braking because we're going up. So it's a very aggressive compression. And then you turn in, get back on power quite early, allow the car to go wide. And then you do have the time to still flat out bring the car to the right again for the left-hander. And then start braking. Not too hard, already kind of trail braking just to make the car rotate as much as you can here. Same thing, do not use this curve, it's way too high. Smash the power. And then at this point here, you want to bring the car as much as you can to this intersection between the end of the curb and the grass. And that is your turning point. Boom. Turn in. Do not hit this curb. I actually did hit it, and you're going to see how the car just doesn't like it. It doesn't like it. It bounces, and because of that, I had to lift the throttle. So I got back on power here. If I did not hit the curb, I could keep with the throttle. But because I hit the curb here, I knew that was going to be very dangerous. So as you can see, I'm lifting my throttle here. I'm waiting for the car to settle. As it settles, I finally can get back on power. On the outside here, what you can do is have the center of the car on the curb. If the center of the car goes to the grass, then you get an off track. Stay there. Then using this triangle here as a reference for turn in, really late apex because there's no grip on this exit here. It's a very famous corner. This is the YouTube corner. And then smash the power. Allow the car to go to the outside. Don't force it too much on that exit because we're falling on the crest. There's absolutely no grip there. And then on this one, brake quite hard because we're going up on a compression. And then also very late apex. Get back on power and allow the car to run over this curb here. This is all good. Just make sure, by the way, by the time you get back here, when you land, just go straight. You don't want to land with the wheel turning right because as soon as you land, there's way too much grip on the front tires. So if you land with the steering pointing to the right, the car is going to shoot to the right very quickly and you're going to lose it. Then for the next one here, flat out into the jump. So what I like doing is braking just a little bit before the jump. And then I lift the brakes as much as I can. Here we're completely off the track. As you can see, we're flying at this point. And then when we brake, there's a little bit of locking here. So this is actually not ideal. Ideally, you want to re-brake right after the locking. So it's very, very difficult here to not lock that much. But you're not going to keep locking. You just lock by the time you really land. But then after that, you already turn in and get back on power to use this curb here. Do not touch this curb. It's very important. Just stay to the right here so you can change direction at this point without having to lift. This is a very important one because if you go wide here, then you're done because by the time you start changing direction here, you cannot do this flat and you lose a lot of time because the entire section here is flat. So use this second part of the curb, stay to the right, and then finally change direction to not use this curb, stay on the white line, and then the car is going to be put on the perfect spot here, all flat. And then for this one, turn in, do not use this curb, same thing, little jump here, it will kind of fall and want to go a little bit to the middle. You have enough time to bring it back to the left and then back to the right. All that is flat. And then same thing here, be careful not to hit this curb as well. Then this is easy, flat. And then for this one here, I like braking and allowing the car. You see, I'm not following the white line yet. I'm pointing in because then the white line goes to the right and I meet the white line again. And then that's my turning point. Then I really miss this curb as always. And then I want to bring the car as much as I can to this right. And then late apex, super late apex on this one. I actually hit the curb. Look at that. I almost didn't. It was so subtle. But that little bit is enough to unsettle the car and make you lose some hundreds. Then on the outside, really let the car go all the way to the outside. As soon as you hit the curb, light hands. Don't try to pull the car back to the inside. And then for the little carousel here, hard braking and then kind of trail braking. Try to really turn as much as you can as you get on the inside here. So you want to turn in quite lightly here. Not yet. Okay, now that you got here, really try more. Now more steering. Smash the power, make the car rotate as much as you can so you get this little jump here at the end of the carousel. You don't want to jump too early. If you understeer and jump early, you have a really bad exit and you may even spin. For this one here, just trail brake, no hard braking, trail brake. Try to hit this curb here. I mean, the white line, not the curb. Smash the power, allow the car to go to the outside. Stay on the outside. Not yet. This is still not a corner. Stay on the outside. Stay on the outside. Okay, now we want to go to the inside. Little lift, and then you want to really hit this curb as early as you can and hug it and then smash the power so the car is shot off all the way to the back straight. And then we go on the back straight. Nothing to talk about here. You're just reflecting on the lap you just did. And then for this one, I want to turn in and get the end of this curb on the left. And then turn in and get the kind of the end, but at this point, it's not possible enough. So end of this curve on the left, and then change direction. Try to apex this one quite late. As you can see, like after the second half of it, at the second half of it. And then I'm already starting to brake before the change of color on the tarmac here. And then, as you can see, as soon as I start braking, I relax my hands, and you can see how my steering is kind of shaking a little bit, but back on a straight line. That means because I start braking, as soon as I start braking, my hands relax. And that makes the car super efficiently stop without locking the tires. And then a little trail braking here to bring the car more to the left. I actually missed this. You can be as close as you can to this wall here. And then you want to use a little bit of this one. And you want to use the inside curb here. After that, you smash the power. You change direction here, you use this, but not the curb, same thing. And then you allow the car to go all the way to the wall. And that's it. This is more or less the tutorial for Nordschleife. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.